From packed single-screen theaters to billion-dollar global launches, the summer blockbuster has transformed how Hollywood makes movies and how we watch them. In this episode, we look at the rise of the tentpole, the power of opening weekends, and the shifts brought by franchises, streaming, and audience habits. Grab your popcorn as we explore how summer became Hollywood's biggest battleground. Stay with us.
Get ready for the 3324 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 podcast. Happy New Year, Eric.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. Wow.
Did you clean up all the confetti around your house and pick up all the streamers?
We didn't have any.
Throw out the random people sleeping in your house that you don't know? Did you chuck them?
I wish, but no.
Not a problem yet?
No, we did not. We didn't do anything for New Year's. So
just rang it in?
Actually, I think we Kelly and I went to bed, I think at 10.
Oh,
we
God.
didn't even ring in the New Year. So yeah, we're getting old.
You're depressing me.
No, just tired. Yeah.
All right. I stayed up. I saw it in. I saw the New Year in.
We went to the house. We watched the finale of Stranger Things with the kids.
Okay.
So, so that was that. So then we came home and then we thought we would stay up, but then it just didn't happen.
That's it.
So we just fell asleep, So
Christy Cuomo, happy 2026. Did you make it?
I made it. I made it to 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Not too shabby.
And then I went
All
to
right.
bed.
And then lights out.
Lights out.
Nick Leshy, happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Did you make it to midnight?
We partied like it was 1999.
Wow.
Now it's just me, the kids, the wife.
Did the computer turn on after midnight?
Y2K.
Yes.
It was great.
People were so afraid. We thought the Y2K, the computers are going to shut off. What are we going to do?
Did you empty your bank account?
No, I did. I emptied his bank account.
That's so funny.
Welcome one and all to the 3324 podcast, 2026 edition. We are closing out our fifth year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to need to do, Eric, we didn't do a kickoff of the fifth season special episode, but I think we're going to need to do something to close out our fifth year. I think that's really when.
Why not?
Then the fifth year is in the books. So
let's go.
A lot of confusing things.
Yeah, but we'll get it figured out, and we will celebrate the closing of our fifth year.
Is the closing of the fifth year in January?
No, in February. So it's starting very soon.
Yep.
God knows when this episode, may not be. We're recording it now. May not come out until like July. So.
Oh my goodness.
Like we all had
the way we record things and the way I arrange them.
True that.
Don't make any mentions of winter or snow because this could be out in the summer.
Yeah.
Evergreen. An evergreen story.
Well, the sweatshirts would probably be a giveaway.
If they saw us.
Well, that's true. But now they know.
Yeah.
Now they know we're all wearing sweatshirts. It is the dead of winter. And we are here to bring you another year of music and movie goodness. You can continue the conversation on Instagram, Facebook, and or YouTube, which would be great. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your opinions. Or within your podcast provider on your app or however you're listening, there should be a little fan mail or message us icon that you could tap. That's a one-way message, meaning we'll get it, but we won't be able to respond to you. So if you want to hit us up that way as well, we'd love to hear from you. This is one of our non-linear kind of episodes. It's not about a particular music or movie item, but an overall kind of discussion, which I thought would be a nice way to kick off the new year. And we had a little pre-talk, a little run-up, not specifically about this, but we kind of started talking about movies, and it kind of, I think, hopefully got everything going. And I think it's an interesting conversation to have, in light of what direction, we could probably have the same conversation for music as well. But for all intents and purposes, where is the movie industry going? Or broadly, what we're going to be talking about is how the summer blockbuster has really influenced, or what effect has it had on the movie industry? That could be a positive or a negative. So we're going to be kind of tackling that more broadly. Also, just to let everybody know, Nick Leshy's with us, so we're going to drop a link to his podcast on YouTube. He's got the Paranormal Popcast, and he's got the greatest characters in pop culture history. Yeah,
well, that's
so
a mouthful.
It is, and you know what? It's paranormal pop. You know,
all the P's in it.
He's testing. He's testing.
Peas in the pod. What?
I need that like spit guard.
Pea podcast. Yeah, whatever.
Two Peas in the pod podcast. So we'll drop a link in the show notes for that, so you can check out Nick's much more expansive takes on things. So here we go. So actually, speaking of expansive, I sent everybody just some kind of articles to kind of center the conversation, and then Nick responds with an exhaustive list from 1896.
Yes,
this is not BS.
Nick, do you
from
he's
1899.
I think he's got a secret library somewhere, man. Yeah. He's got like books galore, and he's just like photocopying the pages of all these.
I complained about Dean's, and then Nixon's like,
a 19-page
movie
from 1896.
I'm like, what are we talking about here, man? I
thought this was going to be an easy conversation. Like, what?
Yeah. So Christy was like, what are we just talking about articles?
I was about to get Sean back because I'm.
So what Nick did, he gave us a lot of great material, but then he also sent a timeline of highest grossing movies per year in the month of first release. And his list goes back to 1896. Unfortunately, Nick, for all intents and purposes, we're going to get rid of your list up until 1975.
That works for me.
Nick, does Juliana listen to this?
What's that?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, Juliana, you poor woman.
She was seeing me typing this over the weekend, doing my research.
This is why Nick is called the professor.
That's exactly right.
This is why he's called the professor. He loves the deep dive stuff, and I appreciate it. It's actually going to be very helpful to us. But I think we're all going to be in agreement, and the film world is in agreement that the blockbuster really started in 1975 with Jaws.
Changed everything.
Literally.
That was the film, that really kind of became an event associated with the time of the year. Mm-hmm. Jaws did, not to stick on Jaws too long, but Jaws also there was a lot of things with Jaws also that weren't done in films before. They kind of took the Godfather approach, which was wide release of films, which really wasn't a thing back in the middle 70s.
Yeah.
Movies got released kind of drips and drabs. It came to some theaters or it came to major cities first, right? And then then the little towns got it when the run was done. So Jaws opened wide. It opened everywhere. There was a media blitz, 30-second commercials that were everywhere, right? Promoting this film. So
the marketing was off the chain. Yeah.
Say again?
Yes. Marketing was off the chain. Just absolute. I mean, that's something that hadn't been, people promoted movies before, but those cheesy like trailers that they had back in the day. But here was like you're saying, TV commercials, posters, merchandise was also a thing. So the culture really was born here. I think the pop culture aspect of with this film. And then, of course, 2 years later with Star Wars. So, yeah. So, go on.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. It was not to, I'm going to use a corny word, but there was a sea change going on with this. For some reason, all of a sudden, and you can refer to our Jaws episode if you want more in depth, but what kicked it off was the mania about the film, how people were kind of like The Omen, where it was getting this word of mouth of, oh my God, don't go in the water. People are afraid to go in the water because of this film. So then people started to seek it out and see what was going on, see what was the deal with this. So almost in spite of itself, it became just this literal monster blockbuster film that from an unproven director, from a studio, again, you can reference our episode about that where we go a lot deeper.
It's interesting to note too, that Spielberg was not thinking he was making a classic or a big, that kind of film. I mean, it was, as we pointed out, it was almost a disaster. And it's also interesting to note that both him and Lucas were part of that group of directors with New Hollywood that were churning out films that weren't quite blockbusters, but they were doing their own thing. It was a whole new ideal. And it's interesting that these two also created something that had been done in the past with like people lining around the block, but not quite to the degree. So they actually did both. They were the new blood, and then they created something even greater, which they wasn't really what they were thinking of doing. But like they both thought that they were not making great films, but the public proved them wrong, I guess. And it's just whatever. But that's talent. That's the talent that they had.
So let me tie it. Let me tie the next film with it, and then we'll kind of open it up to Christy and Nick. So not 2 years later, like Eric said, a small movie, very meager, $10 million budget, called Star Wars came out.
Yep.
And up until that point, Jaws was the highest grossing film ever. So not 2 years later would it be unseated by another film that, again, word of mouth, it was something different. There's something happening. Again, that came out in May. Jaws came out in June of 75, and Star Wars came out in May. So you're starting to see kind of a little bit of a little bit of an understanding of what's happening here with scheduling, which is one of the early things.
Yeah.
But what I want to tie together and then kick it over to whoever wants to jump on it is Jaws and Star Wars represent two types of films that generally film cognoscenti or discerning tastes don't go to see, right? Jaws was a schlocky, if you look, it's a schlocky kind of horror style film. And Star Wars is a cheesy sci-fi film, and those are not generally well regarded with audiences, or they're relegated to the cheesy Vincent Price, equated with that. They're equated with the giant ant film, Empire of the Ants. Like it's in that in that line of succession, and Star Wars is in the line of Star Trek and just cheesy sci-fi stuff. But these were both elevated experiences, and I think that's what's important. Nick, take it away.
That's how movies used to be distributed. They would put what they thought would be the blockbusters, the big award-winning movies during those winter months, and then they would like dump all these other movies, the B movies, the drive-in movies, during the summertime and other times, double features, and these just struck gold and started making more money than Hollywood ever saw before. And like you said, Dean, it was like 2 years later, the record will be broken. And then another 2 years later, E.T. comes out and breaks that record. And it just kept going. It was like, they started then having to, have bigger budgets because you had bigger special effects and stars and all this advertising that you had to do to let people know these movies are coming out on this date nationwide. Come check it out. Because in the past, it used to be, like you said, it would be very limited releases in the big cities. So you'd have New York, LA, Chicago, and then it would just word of mouth and go through all these different cities. Sometimes some towns had to wait like a year or more to see some movies, but then they would see it in their local drive-in or local, movie theater. That the marquee, it would be like, oh yeah, I've heard about that movie. I've never seen it before. Let's go check it out. And then advertising used to be for those local theaters. When you go see a movie, it's like, hey, check what's coming out. And it was those, what you see the trailers now, that's the kind of trailers you'd see for those B movies, because all the other plots were too complicated to like kind of do like a teaser in 30 seconds. But once you're doing these summer releases nationwide, you had to come up with advertising to let people know. So, I mean, it just changed everything. And then merchandising. So you had to come up with like, Jaws made so much money, and Lucas obviously in his contract was like, started seeing the writing on the wall where the money was going to go. And he got the rights to the sequels and the merchandising. And now all the movies that were being, greenlit, you had to tell them, okay, where's the merchandising coming from? How is this going to tie in? Are we going to sell action figures? Are we going to sell, it changed everything.
So Christy, it became not just a revenue stream from the film, right? These things started getting tie-ins with Burger King, right, and McDonald's, right? They would have you'd have the Star Wars glasses, or and you'd have all these toys. So now you're also these blockbusters are generating ancillary streams of revenue.
Well, yeah, and that was all because of the marketing. I think we have to take into consideration it was a perfect time, perfect place for Jaws to come out in 1975. If you look at where society was, and people were just ready to go to the movies and just be swept away in something again, because we're coming from Taxi Driver and Network and everything about Watergate and all these very serious films and fantastic films, amazing films, incredible acting, directing, screenwriting. Like, I love all of these films, but like this happened, and then Jaws, like we've Dean said in the intro, and Eric and Nick, you have said, that just catapulted it. And so, they it's funny you talk about like with Burger King, and I remember going to see Return of the Jedi and getting the mugs and stuff, and my brother's having it from the earlier Star Wars movies. I kind of associate, like, if you think about it, like, because Dean, you're like, it wasn't for everyone. Like these big, like, people would put their nose up to it, like these snooty, like, film buff people. These films are kind of like Burger King and McDonald's, right? Like they're immensely popular all over the country, and they are popular. They make a ton of money for a reason. I don't personally eat it. I put my nose up to it, but majority of the country likes to eat McDonald's and Burger King. It's kind of the same thing with these films. But to get back to your point, the merchandising was, I mean, I had Ewok underwear, I remember, as a kid. Like, it was across the board. It was not just, my brothers had Star Wars sheets. So it wasn't just action figures and stuff like that. It was plates. Yeah. It was glasses. I mean, they saw an opportunity and they ran with it, and made so much money.
Yeah, I mean,
hence the term franchise. That's where
exactly
the term franchise that's what you think of, is like, Christy, you put a really great spin on it. The fast food analogy is perfect.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. But every once in a while, somebody likes to go slum and eat a freaking McDonald's cheeseburger, right?
Right? It's escapism
because it's
comfort food. It's movie comfort food.
No, but it's an instant gratification. It gets you order it. Yes. It's in your hands within 10 minutes. You eat it, and while you're eating it, it's delicious. And maybe you regret it later, but in the moment you're in it, you're loving it. Yeah, loving it.
That's McDonald's. Or as Brian Cox does it nowadays. Like, he doesn't even do it like to the right melody. Anyway,
don't make fun of Brian Cox.
A lot of great points are raised there. Yeah. Franchises, and before that, we did have Planet of the Apes was probably the biggest franchise that was out before that had tie-ins.
Yeah, they had Halloween costumes.
But that was diminishing returns. Those films did not live up to the quality each time. It was more financial decisions than artistic. It was more like, okay, let's make another one, but we're going to make it for cheaper. So it makes less. Okay, we're going to make another one. It's got to be cheaper because the other one made less, and you're on a downhill slope. What Jaws and Star Wars did was elevate the genres, right? They rose to the occasion because for every Jaws and every Star Wars, there was a piranha or a knockoff that tried to cash in on it, thinking,
orca,
if we just make a movie like this, it'll be a blockbuster. And that is not the case. I have a list of some studios that pushed in all their chips and lost. And I have a list of studios that were saved by Blockbuster. So it's not as simple as, let's make a movie and put it out there in the summer and promote it, because believe it or not, as like Christy said, as friendly to the masses as these films are, right? They're casting a wide net. They still got to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, there's still got to be something, and it leads to the point, Eric. I'll ask you: is it? I don't want to get too heavy into talking about special effects, but was it the filmmakers that boosted the need for special effects, or was it the need for special effects that boosted the industry going forward? Because those two, Star Wars and Jaws, were very much blockbusters that were born out of a vision and born out of things that didn't really exist, like technologies and ways of making films.
Right. I think it was Richard Zanuck or David Brown, the producers of Jaws, that said if we had read the book, the novel, twice, we would not have made this film, because they didn't realize just how many effect shots were probably needed to see this thing through. But it took the talent. I think the directors have to have a vision, sure, and they realize that some certain things need to be done. But there has to be a way of sort of, in Spielberg's case, obviously it was a disaster waiting to happen, and things didn't work out. So he actually had to do things on the fly, and that's a creative decision, and that's talent. That is he's got the chops to figure things out. And special effects, through the years, I've in my humble opinion, I've come to realize that a lot of my favorite films with not so great special effects, but the movie, the idea, and the way it's done, and it took, risks. They took big risks to make. So no, I don't think special effects, is the most important thing. If you get it right, and if you have the talent to do both, and you hire the right people, and everything clicks into place, then it's fantastic. But for the most part, I think it's the director that really, he's guiding the ship there. I think, like I said, either movies like the Terminator, like Cameron's The Terminator, when that first came out, that blew me away. You compare that to T2 with bigger, better special effects. What's the better film there? That's debatable, because from in my opinion, the first one said everything it needed to say, what he was trying to say with that film, and the tone of it. So, but the second one was something different. And, so he was sort of like leaning into the idea of the technology there. And that's Cameron's forte, is technology. So that's a director who knows that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And all that being said, there is an outlier in 1978.
Yep.
The blockbuster of 1978 was Grease.
Yeah.
Decidedly not. I can vouch. I probably saw that in the theater like 6 times.
Yeah.
Easily, because you could just be able to used to sit back then. That you could just literally sit in the theater and not move, and they would just sweep around you and let you watch it.
That's right. Yep.
So it's not just this type of thing right now. As we get, as the years go on, the tentpole summer blockbuster does start to fall into a mold. Yeah. But from what I'm seeing, it's like, Kramer versus Kramer 79, that was in December. 79, there really wasn't anything. There was Superman, the movie, that was in December of 78. They hadn't really figured out the secret sauce of reserving, which now every movie does. They do it 3 years in advance. The next whatever is coming out on, May 22nd of 2030. Like, studios are already like in advance, like kind of planting their flag on dates, right? So they can get like particular weekends and stuff. And back then, it still wasn't a thing. They was still kind of figuring out, well, is this a fluke because of the movie? Is it because of when it's out? To that point, like Nick said, the summer used to be kind of like the dumping ground for stuff. It's like, the hoi polloi and the hoity-toity stuff comes out, around Oscar season, and the trash, quote unquote, air quotes, trash comes out. So that immediately, people were in the mind space, or critics of, if something comes out in the summer, it can't be all that good. It's got to be mindless, right? It's got to be just kind of, like Christy said, kind of McDonald's-ish, meaning disposable. You go watch it, and an hour later you forgot about it. But that's not really the case with these big blockbusters. Grease is closing in on 50 years old in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Still well regarded. People still love it. Still quotable. Still stands among Star Wars, I think, and E.T. and Jaws as like a great film. So we're not saying that every blockbuster had to be
a big
aliens,
special or fantasy. Yeah.
Although it starts to skew that way,
right? And I think you can't take away from the fact that it's also the content and the timing. Like, you were coming after, Watergate and all the stuff that was happening, and people were just looking for feel good movies, and that's what these were. Even Jaws, that was scary, and The Exorcist before that. But you had like Rocky and Grease and all this nostalgia too that Lucas and Spielberg were just great at, and they loved these movies and trying to replicate it. But they were also competing against TV. And the movie industry forever was like, competing against it. And what you saw back in the earlier days was they would create these more gritty things that you could only see in the movie theaters. You didn't have to worry about censorship, right? So you had more language, sex, violence, etc. And then, after, they were going after a younger audience in the summertime, it was all spectacle and science fiction and feel good and things you could only see on the big screen, and you didn't want to wait like 6 months or a year to watch it on VHS or TV or whatever, So it's that content, I think, that really also ties in. There's a lot of reasons, but getting it out in the summertime, again, that was when a lot of kids had no school. Back then, you didn't have streaming. Summer was all reruns, nothing new on TV, right? So it was just like, why didn't they think of it before? Like you said, it took a while too. Like, Superman and everything, they were still being released in December, and you would think, how much more money might they have made if they came out like in May or June of that year?
Well, it was a way of life too. It was like, hey, take your brother to see a movie. Go to the movies. Like, get out of the heat. You get out of the house, where do you go, when it's too hot to play outside or do whatever. So you go to the movies. If I had, wonderful opportunities to see, I didn't see a lot of the big, that's the thing. I never got to see Jaws, or Star Wars was probably the only like major blockbuster that I saw actually in the set, but I did see all the schlocky, B movies for some reason, like all of the knockoffs. Because we had a theater on South Broadway in Yonkers, and it was just not a very great area. So my brother would take me to see these kinds of films like there, that they would only play that cultish kind of stuff for some weird reason. But anyway, it was just an escape, just to get out and because we didn't have like the internet, we didn't have things that we could just sit inside and play games and things like that. We didn't even have home video games yet. So
still early days.
To that point, I think it's important that we remember where, again, not to keep drilling it, but where we were as a society. By 1975 and then on, we probably, movies back in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, like people got dressed up. It was more like they go to a theater, like Tarrytown Music Hall down the block would play movies. Like, you get dressed up, and it was a family event. And like, by the time we're all growing up, more than likely, not 100%, not that, like now, probably a 2-income family. You can afford movies. You can afford to give your kids money to go. Just go to the movies. It didn't have to be this like extravagant, like we're going to get dressed up and go to the theater and watch a movie. So the movie studios saw those opportunities, and started putting them out in the summer when they can make money off of these kids, because these parents were working. They're working, and we were still living in a time where you can let your kids go off and do whatever they wanted. You weren't worried about
but to that point, Christy, I mean, even back in the day, like when the studio systems were in full effect, it was a well-oiled machine. You had big films, I could think of like the biblical epics and things like that. Ben-Hur, the original King Kong, people flocked to see that. That to me is the original blockbuster, because people were lining, around the block. People middle of the Depression, they were paying money to see this film because just to escape reality.
Well, that's the thing. That's why people go to the movies, right? Either they want to escape reality, or they want to relate to something, or they want to learn something, or they want to be scared. They're looking for something. It's just what are you looking for? And I think when Spielberg and Lucas were doing these films, they were catching that part of the population that they knew that the country was not in great shape. Like we were dealing with all this political stuff. It was on their news. like we didn't have all these different outlets, so they were being drilled with it. So they just to go and watch a shark attacking someone seemed like a really great way to spend a night. So
they were they were kids at heart too. They were they were not the typical like cynical like a Scorsese or De Palma who was into that sort of like really rough and tumble kind of gritty stuff. That was their thing, because they grew up on gangster films and horror films and things like that. And where Spielberg and Lucas, they're talking about Pinocchio and.
No, but Lucas did do American Graffiti, so that was
true. But even that was a love letter to the hot rod and the cruising thing,
culture of the 50s,
car
and
culture,
60s,
and the music, of course. So that that was a big thing. But yeah, they were the original fanboys. They set the pattern for all these young guys today, or guys our age actually, who are making this stuff today. Were Lucas and Spielberg were the inspiration there.
The originals.
Absolutely.
Writer Tom Schoen wrote, "Many countries have film industries. Only America makes blockbusters."
That's changing, though.
It's changing.
Slowly.
The last 4 years, China has had two of the top record-breaking movies that we in America don't even know about. We haven't even seen. And it's changing. People overseas are going to movies where we are staying home and watching streaming and playing video games. Now,
that being said, Nick, do summer blockbusters? And I want to talk about this for a little bit. Do summer blockbusters make room for smaller films? Are smaller films are they the winner here? If Universal can make $575 million on Jaws, are they now more likely to finance a $1 million smaller? Would we have gotten Shakespeare in Love if we didn't get so and so? You know what I'm saying? Like
it's a good segue to talk about tentpole movies. That's really Jaws also created that. Like suddenly studios had power again, because during the 1960s, people were like, do we need studios anymore? It's like the auteur period where you had a director, you kind of like, okay, you have a script, do something with it. Let's see your vision. And, that kind of European mentality of these kinds of films and art films, a very elite kind of way of looking at movie making. And now suddenly you have studios putting millions and millions and millions of dollars to make these one big movie or 3 or 4 big movies. And that supported all these other little movies. And you would get a star and say, okay, and you have now a budget to make your dream project that we never would have greenlit, but now you want to do it? Yeah, we can do that. Sometimes things were going direct to video, and it was because studios had enough money from these big, the risks that they were taking. And of course, then the risks had to be, safer. So that's why you were going for intellectual properties and things that people understood. But then you had the 1990s where it kind of reverted back. So it's all cyclical, because you had like the independent films suddenly coming back.
90s was
studios definitely had power again in the late 70s and early 80s, where they were dominating Hollywood.
So Christy, do you think a studio is more apt to bankroll a I was going to say Reservoir Dogs, but I can't say that because there was no Tarantino got his own financing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that the studios are more, especially in the 90s, where we did see a lot of smaller films, or we saw offshoots of major studios like Miramax, for as awful as the owner was, Touchstone Films, right, offshoot of Disney, which you'd see the smaller films come from. So do you think those smaller films benefited from the dreaded big giant tentpole film in the summer?
Yeah, probably. Was
it a palate cleanser for people to also see something different once the summer ends?
It's kind of no different if you think about it, where a lot of actors will do. And I'm not saying this is a legit example, but Matt Damon doing all the Bourne movies allows Matt Damon to do smaller movies that aren't that where he doesn't have to worry about his paycheck. So it's kind of the same concept, right? With these big studios, like they can put out this blockbuster and make $300 million, and then they can take some of that money and sprinkle it wherever they want. Yeah, I guess these smaller films benefit from it. I think we're in agree with Nick that it is cyclical, like where the 70s and 90s, some of the best movies, in my opinion, came out of the 70s and 90s. Like,
absolutely,
absolutely go back to watch, and it could be dramas, it could be like Star Wars, or I mean, that's not to say there's not good movies in the 80s or what have you, but we're now in like this dangerous period of like where you're getting like these auteur people where they're making these very artsy films for the sake of them being artsy. And I'm like, I can't follow your story. And I don't know if my brain just doesn't work anymore, or I don't know what's going on. And then you have all these movies with, it's just all special effects. And it's like, and there's no context. There's no story. And she's like, I mean, and I know that these people like love Spielberg and they love Lucas and they love like, did you watch their films? Like, I don't understand. Like, what are you doing?
You make a really good point there, because it's baffling.
It's just frustrating to see, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about the release of things, but yeah, I mean, I guess the smaller films benefit, but I wish they didn't have to. I wish they didn't have to rely on such a big film release to make money in order to get these New Line movies. I think it was probably another studio or Touchstone, like to get these smaller films, which are just, they're just better movies, in my opinion, for the most part.
I could agree with that. Clint Eastwood, he's
a
great example, because his relationship with Warner Brothers, he had to compromise, make Pink Cadillac and shit like that, like The Rookie with Charlie Sheen, which was horrible. I mean, but in order for him to make White Hunter, Black Heart, and these offbeat kind of movies that he wanted to make, he had to make those compromises and bigger budget type of, that everybody will go to see. But then he has these like little niche films that he wanted to make. So that was the compromise there. But Warner Brothers is such a major studio, and he had that relationship for years.
Yeah.
Until finally Zaslav said, no more. They kind of cut him loose. So,
that was recently.
What was Unforgiven considered to them? A big one or a small artsy film for him?
Probably his small artsy film.
Which is the Oscar-nominated fantastic film that everyone will watch over and over again.
But that's when but that was also the film that everybody now Clint Eastwood is a great director, and he was already making good films before that. Outlaw Josie Wales, I think, is just as good as Unforgiven.
He just wasn't getting he wasn't getting
recognition.
Recognition.
So. Right.
It seems like the studios have the same type of thing. It's like we're making these movies because we know they're almost a guaranteed paycheck, right? We can kind of really kind of lean our ledger on these movies coming out in the summer. Just like any other business, if someone owns a whole bunch of department stores, you've got ones that make a lot of money and then some that don't. But the ones that make a lot of money kind of help keep the slower ones open. Maybe it's in a good location and you don't want to close it. And this, I look at it the same way as these tentpole movies. They're there to get audiences in all the time. That's really like your money making time. And then once the summer's gone and everybody's looking for something a little more cerebral, right, a little more artistic, that's when these other it almost became the reverse of what Nick would say. Is everybody looks forward to the summer films, and then the fall and winter are like the dumping ground. It's all the art house stuff. It's all the 2.5-hour dramas where nothing really happens until the very end, and someone gets shot, and then all the things reverberate. All the choices they made. So it almost seems like the script has flipped, where the summer blockbuster used to get poo-pooed on, right, and looked down on, but now it's a legitimate thing, as mercenary as it might be for studios, right? It's we want to make these things, like Eric said, the rise of the franchise, right, which also kind of sounded the death knell for I think for the blockbuster as we get to 2019. Go ahead, Christy.
So to your point, like where now they'll dump out these because we want cerebral type of film. at the risk of sounding like an asshole, I don't think a lot of people look at film like we do. Not the majority. Like we look at film differently. Like film buffs or like people who are really into film. Like, because I hang out with people and I'm like talking about film and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Please stop. And I just want to enjoy this. And you're getting way too deep for me. So one of the things, and again, I think we always, if we're looking through this scope of from 2026 now, these big blockbuster movies, these with all these, I mean, in my opinion, way too many special effects. It's almost like seizure causing special effects at this point. A lot of it probably has to do with the way our society is. And it's not a secret that because of smartphones and because of these short videos that people watch, the attention span is dropped incredibly. And I'm not just talking about kids growing up with it now. I'm just talking about adults who, like, I don't have TikTok. I've never watched TikTok, but like that, watch these TikTok videos or even these short Instagram videos. It's almost like we can't handle cerebral. Like I'll watch a movie and I'll talk to someone and like, oh, I couldn't get through it. It was way too slow. Like I hear that a lot. It was way too slow. Nothing was happening. I'm like, it was a fantastic film. Like it was great screenwriting. I mean, the visual, like the cinematography, like the acting, like you could not tell anyone was. And again, I start geeking out, and they're like, "Man, it was just too slow."
But that's the thing too, right?
But the attention span's not there anymore.
It's like some audiences when we grew up. I remember kids not wanting to see anything that was black and white. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Those are some of the best movies. And now it's like there's movies before Jaws, and then there's movies after where the story element, you had to have certain beats and stories now. And it's completely changed, you know. Like you still had movies that were like entertaining, Towering Inferno, and movies from the 50s, and Wizard of Oz, and all these great movies that still are, anybody who sits there and gets bored, I'm like, are you watching the same movie I'm watching? But it changed storytelling too,
The franchise, the IP thing for me, it's not even just superhero movies. It's the entire spectrum of IP to me is so tiresome. It's not even like we were saying before. They're not good films. Look at Jurassic Park. I mean, they did that. We just had that new one come out, and it sucked. It was the same thing over and over. It's like but these are movies that are safe, and they just refuse to do something. People saying we're doing something different, but they're really not.
Yeah, we're rebooting it, or
we saw Alien Romulus. Oh, this guy's really he knows he's doing. Like I went to see it. The first 20 minutes was great. I was like, this is promising. And by the time the shit started hitting the fan, it was like Alien Greatest Hits.
It becomes forgettable.
And it's just I can't tell you half of like at post Endgame any of the Marvel films that have come out. I remember.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so, you know what I mean. Like it's
because what started to happen is we talk about E.T. we talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and those are like singular films from each year. And as the years went on, more and more studios were like, well, there's gold in them there hills, right? So I got to get a tentpole movie. It used to be like one or two. Now every studio needs to have a tentpole movie, and they all need to come out in like a week or two after each other. So what you start to get overall is the law of diminishing returns. Is like, last year the Superman reboot came out, and I didn't see it, but it looks like it was a really great film. But then 2 weeks later, Fantastic Four came out. So Superman already was on a decline. Like you'll see 108% decline in box office sales. Like the notion of these things being special events has kind of been watered down, because every year with Marvel or Star Wars or whatever it is, we need to have one or two films, but no, Marvel needs to have 5 tentpole films, one in February, one in May, one in July, one in October, and one at the end of the year. So you become, it becomes less special, right? And
the emphasis is that's all people are talking about. This movie beat out. Yes. And they're only talking about money. They're which is, box office numbers are great. It's gratifying to know that a movie does well, but it needs to be a good movie. Like we said before, it has to be good, but it's like, I'm just tired of going to see the same old thing.
Because you feel like you have to. You feel like, oh, I'm invested in the Marvel universe.
Exactly. But
oddly enough, I think that Avengers Endgame was the literal endgame for blockbusters. I think after Endgame, it made $2.8 billion. I think after Endgame, I think people also had fatigue of that, of feeling obligated to go see these movies, or like that type of storytelling had reached a peak, and then we had the pandemic, which really just kind of sliced everything anyway, kind of gave people a forced break from all that kind of stuff, and gave people the permission. It felt like it gave me the permission structure to not have to go see these films if I don't want to. I don't feel obligated if I don't think they're going to be that great, just because they're coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah. I don't. First of all, the movies are also very expensive now. Like, so if you're a family of 4 or 5, I mean, you're spending $100 just to take your kids.
And the popcorn things are now $60 for the Galactus.
$10 for a soda. For a medium soda, $10.
That's where these theaters are making their money, because they're not making their money from ticket sales. That's all going to the studios.
So it's expensive to do it. So you get a little bit pickier about it. Where am I going to spend my money? It's kind of like when we're talking about this, where like the saturation from these keep going back to the well to make these Marvel movies and spend millions of dollars, and they have to get their return on it. Like Eric said, like it's how much money it made. It's almost like waiting for the stock market to crash.
It feels disposable too. The entertainment factor of these films is disposable entertainment. The movie could tank; it'll make $1 billion. But it'll not be a good movie.
It bankrupts us. Like it's a little different than the stock market, because the people who are selling us the movie, they're making their money. They don't care if we're gratified or not. They don't care if we leave satisfied. They just care about the end of the day. How much are we doubling or tripling what we spent? If we spent $30 million to make this film and we walked away with $400 million, we are winners. Even if we all left the theater and we were like, I just lost 2 hours of my life. I'm never going to get back.
And we spent $100 on,
and that's why it kind of reminds me, and of the stock market a little bit like that. Where it's like, but we're the ones that are going bankrupt here.
That's right.
It's just
And it's also the attitude of companies like Disney, who have pretty much usurped all of them. Like they own Fox now. They own Star Wars. They own Marvel. They own everything.
It's almost disgusting. Like you almost
it's the arrogance of saying, "Hey, we can tell. Nobody needs to make a romantic comedy anymore. We could do it in a Marvel film. We could do it in a Star Wars. We can combine genres now within these universes, these pocket universes now, so that the smaller film doesn't even get a chance, because you go to the theater and all these tent poles are taking up all of the screens. And if you go to see that romantic comedy, it's only playing in one theater 3, which is the smallest in the multiplex, right? It's like one showing, like 6 p.m. or whatever it is.
One showing, they sold 4 seats, and apparently those people decide to sit right next to you. It irritates me.
They always do that. Or right behind me, I can hear them. It's like, why are you right behind me?
These are not the films that inspire people or inspire young filmmakers. I don't know if any of you watched, which was separate from this. I had watched it a while ago when it came out. Breakdown 1975. It's a short documentary.
I wanted to see that.
It's very good. I enjoyed it.
It's really good. Yeah. I saw it.
So Eric, when you're watching it, like, I don't know if you felt the way I did, but when they're talking about like Taxi Driver, and they're going through Network, and they're talking about what's happening, like, and you're watching these clips of the movies, you're just like, I'm inspired. Like I want to get back to writing my screenplay. Like I want to get.
It was commentary on the times. It was the movies were reflecting.
These are and the Spielbergs and the Lucases were inspired by their films. Scorsese was Kurosawa, like even Quentin Tarantino, like. What young filmmakers? What are they being inspired by? Like CGI, special effects, and no story to tell. Like, and I'm not saying that's all films now, but if that small artsy film is in that little theater that no one's going into because the tent films are taking up everything else.
The baffling thing to me is the fact that people are so I got to direct a Star Wars movie, but the movie's just not that great, right? Maybe not necessarily the right. I directed the latest Jurassic Park, Gareth Edwards. I mean, he was on the right track of bringing it back to but it was just boring because I saw this movie already. Everything that happens in that film, I've seen it. It's in the thing.
Most of these people are scared to take a chance. It's either a remake or a reboot, or we're just going to we're going to make Jurassic Park #9 or thank you.
Yeah.
Or
they have to. I mean, don't they have to though?
No, they have to. Where's the originality in it all?
Yeah, but originality. Who's going to pay to buy a ticket to go see a movie that they could wait a few weeks and see it streaming?
Exactly.
Why does that need to be seen on the big screen? Why does that need to be? I mean, we're there because we love movies, but others are like,
it's very transactional now. You can wait. There's no special. There's also no special thing, right? Yeah, back in the day, you were only going to see it in the theater, and you might have to wait a while. If we're talking about the VHS era for it to come on rental,
but it was 6 months. At least 6 months.
Let's pivot to something a little bit, some a little bit more fun. I mentioned earlier that there were studios that were saved by blockbusters, and there were studios that pushed in all their chips and lost. Studios that were saved by blockbusters. Universal was saved by Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Universal was in dire straits. Jaws saved them, literally. Star Wars saved Fox, another studio that was struggling. The 2002 Spider-Man saved
Sony.
Marvel. Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy, right? They were selling all of their IP.
Okay.
They had sold during the 90s. They had sold almost all their IP to different studios just to pay the bills. But when Spider-Man 2002 came out, all of a sudden Marvel had traction getting it, and Batman 1989 for Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we think of these studios as like impenetrable, but they were those are 4 films that really saved their bacon. Now studios that pushed in all their chips and lost. The studio that made Battlefield Earth was not able to recover.
What studio is that?
It was such a mess, and
oh my God,
it's good that it just goes to show though that you can't just push anything on people and they'll watch it, right? There is a quality, there is still quality over content, right? There's still people aren't pushovers. If something's bad,
people aren't as dumb as they, most people, they say the masses, they just they'll watch anything, but that's not the case.
That's not the truth. And then John Carter, which was actually a really good movie, but it just suffered from horrible promotion. They didn't know how to position it.
Didn't know how to title it.
Yeah. It should be John Carter of Mars. If anybody
or the original book was Princess of Mars.
Princess of Mars. It could have been any of those.
That wouldn't attract people.
And, they wanted to try and make it keep up with the Joneses. The movie Battleship also pretty much sank the studio.
I see what you did there.
Sank my battleship.
And one that's near and dear to our hearts.
Peter Berg directed that.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe was touted as the next Star Wars. It was touted as this is the great adventure in 1987, and
that was canon.
And that was canon.
Distributed.
And Canon is known for not putting out
they're notorious for bad.
Exactly. They may have had the best intentions. And they did. I believe they did have the best intentions. But again, it's not enough.
Sure.
To just say we're going to make a Masters of the Universe film and people are going to go to it because there's a lot of kids. It's like, well, that obviously didn't work for them, right? We refer to our episode. There was a built-in audience from Mattel. Mattel was paying half the bill, right? And we're going to, it's kids. Everybody had a He-Man figure back then.
Mm-hmm.
You should have been backing up the Brinks truck to the movie theater and shoveling the money in. Right. But again, so there is something to be said about these films, although they're made for mass audiences, there's still got to be something that hits everybody. It may hit everybody differently. Right.
Yeah.
But everybody should be walking out of that saying, wow, that was fun, or I really love that, or oh, I didn't like that, but the effects were really good, and I loved it. I was eating that up.
Yeah.
And other people, oh, I just loved how funny it was, and it was just a lot of joke. There's got to be something for everything, and I think that's what a good tentpole does. It understands the audience. It doesn't pander to them, but it gives them what they want in a good way. And you can refer to Top Gun Maverick as a recent example.
Yeah.
Right?
Surprisingly good.
Yeah, when that was coming out, I'm like, oh my God, why? This is a movie that did not need to be made. And I went to go see it. I'm like, that was a movie that absolutely needed to be made. It was exactly like mission accomplished of what it needs to do.
Now he's doing Miami Vice, and I can't wait. Huh? So I'm looking forward. I mean,
it's a remake.
It's a remake, but it's
franchise.
Michael Mann didn't achieve. He was one of the producers on the show, and his film was horrible.
Yes.
And but this guy, I think he'll bring something to it. He'll bring back and do it right.
One of the things, and I keep kind of saying it, and Dean, to pick on Masters of the Universe, 1987.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just did a quick.
The new one hasn't come out yet, so we can still
because I was curious to know why. Because my brothers, like everyone was into He-Man, like it was a big thing. So you would think that your kid, you have, and we were still living in a time where it wasn't you weren't streaming it anytime soon. It wasn't coming on VHS or TV anytime soon. So seeing it in the theater, or you're waiting 6 months to a year, and I think when we think about these, we probably need to look back and see where we were in the economy. And so we were, and I looked it up, it was mixed financially because there was a stock market crash. It was Black Monday. So I don't know where that was in terms of when this film came out, but like these fluctuations in our economy and where we are with, where people are financially,
it came out in August.
Will affect if they're going to splurge on taking their kids to a movie. So it might not have been the film, it might not have been bad marketing or anything like that. It could have just been bad timing. It's kind of like when movies were coming out in the beginning of 2020 that were already slated. Well, that wasn't good. So you can't say they tanked. Wasn't their fault.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't their fault. I don't know if what happened in '87 had really. I'm sure I'm
just saying that the economy,
Masters of the Universe, would love to pin it on the economy.
But I think we need to look at the economy. Wasn't Frank Langella in that?
Any excuse.
Was Frank Langella in that? Yeah,
he was. But
he was great in that. By the way,
if you walk out of that, I saw it in the theater, and you walk out, and it's like, it's no Star Wars. So if you're grading yourself, if you're gonna put yourself in that category and say, well, this is that, and this is, and you don't hit it, it's gonna come around even worse, right, Eric? The backlash is gonna be like a boomerang, saying, well, you're positioning yourself as the next Star Wars.
What are you asking him for? He wants the new Miami Vice.
That's true.
Well, yeah,
which is okay.
Why not? Because I know this guy will do it right.
So is someone going to do Superman right?
The universe anyway. let's get read this. She's going to get.
Well, I mean, look at Flash Gordon was the same thing. I mean, it was right at same year as Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like Dino we're going to cash in on the Star Wars thing. It's going to be great. Maybe potential sequels.
Of Ted.
Yeah. well, there you go. It's weird places,
because Seth MacFarlane loved Flash Gordon.
Yeah, as did we. So I mean, there are certain things that do hit home, but I mean, the worst movies could be the best movies. But I mean, it's just.
But there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
But if you look at the list, I mean, I'm looking at the list that Nick sent, and these blockbusters are there's no fluke in here. Like everything that's on this list, I'm not surprised. I just randomly.
But towards the end, that's when I started like seeing. You look at anything like the 2000s, and it's just IP after IP after IP, and it becomes like kind of mind numbing. But they made money. All those things are legitimate blockbusters. Studios won't claim it. They'll be like, we lost money because we spent so much on marketing and all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
because they don't want to pay all the producers that need to get a cut of the profits.
Yeah, if you start at 2001, you got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which was the first one. 2002, Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. 2003, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. 2004, Shrek 2. 2005, Harry Potter. 2006, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. 2007, Pirates of the Caribbean: World's End. 2008, The Dark Knight, which is the second in the Batman. 2009, Avatar, which was finally an original IP. But you also had Transformers and Harry Potter. 2010, Toy Story 3. 2011, Harry Potter: Deathly Hallows. 2012, Avengers. Then you have Transformers, Force Awakens, Captain America: Civil War, Last Jedi, Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame. So you start to see, this becomes more of a factory, right? An assembly line of we have everybody's attention, and we found something they like. So we're gonna ride this horse until it can't.
They abuse the loyalty of people.
Yeah,
it is, but
and you see them splitting some of these movies into part 1 and part 2, and things like that, and
just like Wicked did, right? Wicked this and Wicked that, and Harry Potter did it
because that's.
I think Twilight did it, right? Did they do a two-parter?
They did for the finale,
like two separate,
just like Harry Potter did.
See, I don't have a problem when something jumps the shark. Like, I don't have a problem letting go. Like, whether it's a series or a movie franchise, whatever it is. Like once, I don't need to see any more Rocky movies. Like, I don't need to see any more.
I do.
Like,
keep making them.
No, it's subjective.
If they're good, that's what I always say.
It's really
when it's just cashing in. It becomes the studio system back in the day when it was like, just churning out genre movies. But if you have a formula that works and you got talented people who are going to kind of play with that formula, that's when you get some of these Sam Raimis and people who really bring some great classics to life.
Does the Marvel blockbuster formula still work? Because I don't think it does.
We'll find out with Doomsday, which they're releasing in December. So there goes the summer, time frame.
Because then you go for Christmas.
But look at the facts. I mean, it was not meant. The Russos were never meant to direct it. It was supposed to be a different director. It was supposed to be the Kang, and because the actor, got in trouble, they completely changed at the last minute. This whole movie feels like it's rushed. It is. I'm not excited about it whatsoever. And despite
because there's always controversy around it.
There's all these people, and now they just announced Chris Evans is coming back as Cap, and all these like the marketing, the trailers are coming. Each week with Avatar,
each one's getting a trailer. Well, right. And what they're going to do is it's going to succeed because they're going to be playing on the nostalgia of 2019 of Endgame. Like we're already at nostalgia with Marvel. Like Marvel has already gone full circle of things are kind of tough now, so let's bring back Thor. Let's bring back Robert Downey Jr. as in a different role. Let's bring back Cap. Let's bring back all the original X-Men from 2002, and it's going to make a ton of money. It will make a ton of money.
I'm sure it will.
But does it deserve to?
No doubt about it. But that's what, yeah.
That's a different story.
It's almost insulting. I think it's almost insulting.
But see, I mean, when you say it's almost insulting, the article that Dean sent, one of them, quoted one of those writers when they were criticizing Spielberg and Lucas for creating this whole summer blockbuster thing. And they called it juvenile fantasy, spectacle, and romanticism in a negative way. And I was like, I looked at that phrase and I'm like, I love that. I love juvenile fantasy, spectacle, romanticism.
It's not.
But that's the thing.
But even that could be bad.
No, it's they keep going back to the well. They keep the not being original with things. The having that's where I find it insulting. Be original. Come out with something different. Have some context to this. Like the stories don't have any there's no real story anymore. Like, just
but
be
Christy,
better.
if those movies, as much as I agree with you, as much as they're like unoriginal, if they're what's keeping those theaters open, so you can see, the next, surprise star come out with a movie that nobody ever heard of, that's what the industry needs, I think.
And that's fine. As long as people aren't
going to see those films. They're going to see the tentpole movie. They're going to see Alien 10.
Yeah, and then they stream all the other stuff.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You're right.
But what people need to do is to not go to these 10, and we're the only people that can actually change the way we
But that's with everything.
Kind of and I'm going to disagree.
And human beings seem very reluctant to change.
Those temples are what's bringing people to the movies, the Barbies and the Marvel movies, and
that would be okay.
Those are the ones that are
one at a time.
If it wasn't like McDonald's and it's just empty calories, and then it's like it's like a love-hate relationship. Like that,
we can only speak for ourselves. You know,
like if people are walking away and like that was a great movie and I feel satisfied, then good for you.
The only solution, it's not to go see the tentpole movies to keep the theaters open. The only solution, and this is radical, is all streaming has to be shut down.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
It's literally the only way you're going to get cheeks into seats again. There is no reason. We were just lamenting how much it costs for a ticket, how much it costs for a soda. Why am I going to do that when I'll wait 3 months? Or the stuff won't even go to the theater. We talked about this in another episode.
It's a good point.
The whole nature of things have changed so much that now tentpoles are needed. Like Nick said, tentpoles are needed to sustain the business.
Just make better tentpoles.
Well,
I agree with Christy there. That's the thing.
Content is being created now and put on streaming first. Like that's where a lot of the talent is going. The writers and the filmmakers. Yeah, and Netflix has bought MGM
and Paramount.
Amazon is,
so
CBS is buying
to
Paramount.
That point, then I'd rather sit home and watch Pluribus than go see
Stranger Things, which
or go see Doomsday.
I'm probably going Wednesday night to see is this thing on because it looks like a good film and I want to see it. Like, so I'll pay money to go see it.
And I'll be honest, as a movie lover, it's like I would rather go to a movie theater and not be distracted and really be caught up in the storyline for like 2 hours than be watching things at home. But I'm still watching Stranger Things. I was doing that, New Year's Eve. So that's part of.
But for me too, there's also something to be said of that form of entertainment too, which is the long form storytelling aspect. Now we got 8, 10 episodes, things to tell what could be told in a 2-hour movie. So there's that too. I personally miss the 2-hour film to be able to condense it down and then walk away from seeing a great film and thinking about, because you're coming up with your own conclusions or your own
experience,
a complete experience, like walking away with something to think about. Now everything is so we're inside everybody's head. There is nothing about these characters that we don't know in a show like in that kind of format.
Credits. Right? You're waiting to see what movie I have to see next. When you go to the movies, you have to stay.
That's right.
Because this movie obviously is not done yet. There's going to be something else, so I need to stay and see what is next.
I love the end credits too, though, because it's kept people to see the credits.
There was
end to get up as soon as it was.
I didn't know.
But it needs
Ferris Bueller to thank for that.
But we need.
You're still here? Go, leave.
I loved it.
I don't mind seeing tentpole movies, but they need to be better. They need to be. We need better writers, better people in charge of this. I mean, there are talented people out. Chris Nolan, for example, is one of those great, I would say, auteur, but he knows how to make a big film.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. He's cerebral. He's this, but he's successful
on IMAX. He literally likes to make big films.
I'm a big fan of
Frankenstein. Did you see Frankenstein?
I loved
a big film. Frankenstein was fantastic.
I freaking loved it. It was gorgeous. It was. I wanted to see it on the big screen, but it didn't come around.
I love Guillermo del Toro.
That's more than 2 weeks,
right?
Yeah.
It's going to be cheaper, for studios to just distribute this stuff digitally, right? You don't have to.
Look, you're right, Dean. It's just not going to change now. Yeah. We're so far in it. It's just, but you're right. The answer is to stop streaming.
We have the power.
We have the power. He's on this master's kick, man. I don't know. Why is that not your? That has to be your favorite top 3 favorite films of all time.
The studios aren't helping.
You're always bringing up Masters, man. I mean, that's just.
And to be a TV star now, for these series that stream. I mean, back in the day, if you did film, you did not do TV. Yeah. And now you'll see film stars doing like a short series or a series.
That's right.
Well, they're getting paid movie money nowadays too. Back then, you got paid.
That's true.
Which is different.
The production values of
To Eric's point, I love film because it's for the most part, unless it's like James Cameron, it's a 2-hour commitment. So you can just be involved and watch it, and it's just the perfect amount. It's just like being satiated. Yeah.
I always thought of film as a window, as a glimpse of a world. If you're building a world and you're seeing more. Just a part, but it's in your head. It's in here.
And it whets your appetite for something bigger and better.
But you don't need 10 sequels to draw that out. I'd like to think about it on my own terms, and
that's the beauty of film.
That's right. But
well,
that's what Masters of the Universe did for Dean.
I think I needed to visually see Cornelius and Zira land on Earth in Escape from the Planet of the Apes. So that was not something I would have imagined at the end of Planet of the Apes. So I needed that visualization of them in astronaut outfits.
It's interesting. That's the very first movie I ever saw in the theater.
See?
When I was a kid. That's the very first movie I ever saw in the theater. See? It's so weird that you brought that up.
See? So let's kind of put a bow on this. I'm not sure how we're going to put a bow on this, or if there is a bow to be put on it, because
you can't put a bow on it.
We're almost we're more so talking about things that have happened and not the way things are, because the way things are not do not resemble the atmosphere or the era when even up to Lord of the Rings, even up to those movies, it was still that experience. You had to go.
Yeah.
Even up to Harry Potter, even up to Avatar. I'll even give it up to Avatar. I think, like you had to go see Avatar in the theater. Mm-hmm. It was going to come out on DVD or some type of physical media, but there was still the experience was still, you needed to go and see it in a theater. And now, because of the distillation, I think the tentpole has become more of a money thing and less of an artistic entertainment thing. Like we said, because of what I read, the retread of all the IPs, how they're just, it's a Harry Potter for 2 years, then it's a Pirates of the Caribbean for 2 years, and then it's a Marvel for 4 years. You all make good points that we're not really seeing anything new. It was new when Iron Man came out. This was ushering something new, and that was
what's now known as the golden age of Marvel. Right? It's mind blowing to think that was a decade ago.
More,
right?
Almost getting close to 20 years for that. So
that's crazy.
But how much have things changed since then? Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like
so much.
But that full first 10 years of Marvel was glorious. I mean, I went to the theater. That was the unique thing about it, was that you were watching a series of films that were connected. It was almost like watching a TV show. Mm-hmm. Right, it was unprecedented. Nobody had ever done anything like that before. But now you got shows integrated with movies. Now, it's too much. It's just Star Wars, Marvel.
They're looking for the next evolution in distribution and filming. That's what it is. Yeah. It's like they're all experimenting. Mel Gibson's going to come out with his sequel to Passion of the Christ, and it's going to be a 2-parter, and it's going to be distributed like one in March and then the next one in May. So it's like it's I think serializing movies. These Netflix try to put Stranger Things in the theater, the finale. They're all going to be experimenting to get these young kids, which they've lost. It's not like the summer blockbuster days where the kids were the target audience. You need like these kinds of things that's going to drive them in, and they're also on their devices. So there's going to be that. The movie industry has changed forever. Jaws changed it again, and it's going to look for the next big thing. Otherwise, it's not going to survive. Why would people go to movie theaters
until our generations are gone and the generations that are?
Well, I think for the most part, movies today, that's not the number one entertainment factor for kids anyway. It's video games and it's it's memes. It's
Would we agree that the theater going experience is on life support? I mean, I haven't been to a movie that was packed. I saw Fantastic Four like the first weekend.
Yeah.
And made a ton of money, but I'm not going to theaters and like having people like, elbow to elbow with me. I'm actually going to the movies and being like, yeah, there's nobody here, so I can watch it. So is this? Are we talking about something that's going to be passé in 5 years? Let me leave that as the last question. Christy, go ahead. Take it.
Oh, I don't think 5 years. I do think it's on life support. That would be heartbreaking. The thought of a world without movie theaters.
Just think of record stores, how it came back.
I don't think.
And maybe it does need to go away.
Years, but I've been to a couple of films at Jacob Burns, and it might have just been because it was a smaller theater where it was packed. But I went to see one battle after another, and it wasn't packed at all.
Okay. All right. Nick? Life support, 5 years, 10 years?
I think we are. I think it is on life support. A lot of people are saying it.
Are we in the end game for movie theaters?
No, because I think the communal experience is part of what the movie experience is all about.
But like you said, kids today are not communal. Kids today are very isolated. They're very social media.
It'll be different. So I don't know where it's going. I don't think the movie studios know where it's going. I think movies, it boils down to what Christy was saying, and Eric touched on it too. It's like storytelling is key. And having the visionaries that know how to use the medium to tell stories and not just be dependent on, the special effects. And you're still going to have the need for IPs and franchises, but you need those people who can make a Black Panther. You need those people who can go in there and just give it something fresh and new, like that first Wonder Woman movie. And, so people go and are just entertained. And what Christy said at the beginning, you go to movies to have these emotions or these feelings or connect with these characters or something. You still need that. And when you do, people will keep going. And if not, they're going to stay home and play video games and watch the next streaming, series that's coming out.
If Eric? You build it, they will come, Nick.
Yeah, I agree.
Life support,
life support. But like Nick was saying, the communal experience, and it's people like we're passionate. It's people like ourselves that are still going. We're still watching. Like I go to see old films on the big screen again. That's becoming a thing. It's a niche. It's now a niche thing. And I think if movie theaters are going to survive, that may very well be the niche thing. Like record stores are coming back and like that. But it's also but it's a very, very particular thing. Physical media is still it's very particular now too. It's like that's sort of going the way of the dodo, But it's like I don't know, but like Nick was saying, we need talented people, and there are the people are out there. We have some talented people who are writing, people like Ryan Coogler. I really enjoyed Sinners. I thought that was a great film. It was different. It was odd. It was a musical, but a vampire. What is this? It's something like that was so fresh to me, and so, I thought it was great. It was great, and but so as long as those kinds of things are happening, but they need to happen more often. I think that we need more people like him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be up to the studios then. I think ultimately, because what I was going to say is
need to recognize. I'm sorry, but they need to recognize the talent. Like what why not let people?
It's not that it's. I'm going to disagree. I think what it is the studios recognizing that if they want to save the theater experience, they need to take more control of how this stuff is distributed. Right. And they need to say, I would love to, for a film to be promoted as you will only see this in the theater. You will not see this on any physical streaming for a year, because then you create exclusivity, right? You're only, I want to see a studio take a stand and say, you're only going to, this is not going in 3 months on something. You're only going to see this movie in the theaters. That's the only way you can see it, because that's the only way something's going to change. Because right now movies are very much a commodity. Music, right? You can go into a music store, you buy music, you take it home and listen to. Movies were never like that. Movies, you had to go to a destination and have a shared experience. Now movies are that same commodity of I can go on Amazon and shop and bring this into my house. And I don't need the theater. The only way the theaters are gonna survive is they need to bring back not the great films, but the exclusivity of it, right? They need to make that experience a thing again, where you can't get this anywhere else. And if Marvel had the stones enough to say Doomsday is only going to be in the theaters and you will not see it on streaming until 2027, a year from now. Mm-hmm. The people that we used to be like, I'll wait, they're going to go. Right. Well, Dean, and you have to start retraining the system.
It wasn't quite as long, but Tom Cruise did that with Top Gun Maverick. He said this, you have to come to the theater to see it. I don't know how many months it was before it was allowed to stream, but he to his credit, he got people back in the theater after the pandemic to see this film.
And so if more people would do that,
and maybe it doesn't need, maybe it's not the studio, maybe it's the Tom Cruises who say, all right, I'm going to make this Marvel film or this action film or whatever this blockbuster is, but here's the condition in my contract now. It can't go direct to streaming in 2 weeks after a release.
Yeah, I think someone's got to start to stand up.
Yeah, and that would probably be the way it has to happen.
But that'll be a risk.
The studio,
once you start getting people to do it, once other people do it, others will start to tumble. Once there's that permission, if Christopher Nolan does it with Ulysses or whatever, they're already selling tickets a year in advance. If Christopher Nolan said, I don't want this thing streaming for a year, do you think any studio is going to say no to him? Because they don't want to lose him. Right. And then if
the movie isn't good, now you're screwed because you don't have your ancillary sales right afterwards. You have to fill out the seats for a year.
You got to start rebuilding somehow.
I think someone's got to break it open.
I agree.
I think it's a matter of trust too. I mean, there are certain people we just put our stock in.
Yeah,
he's
someone that's got the clout has to do it.
Absolutely.
And it can start from there. So I think hopefully we've given everybody a lot of stuff to chew on. I think it was a fun thought experiment. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Let us know what you thought about it. What, Christy?
I said Tom Cruise is like our Obi-Wan.
He is. I don't know what that means, but sure.
Where Leia's like, only you can save us.
Oh,
didn't she?
You're our only hope.
Leia didn't really say that. Go watch. Maybe you should watch Star Wars.
Who said it?
Watch it before you quote
Eric, who said it? Who said it?
I don't quote.
She said, "You are our only hope." Yeah. That's what she said.
She was talking to Obi, wasn't she?
Help me, Obi-Wan.
No, she was saying it to R2D2. Maybe you should watch
she was reaching out. She wanted
then quote it.
You heard it. You know what?
Did you even see Star Wars?
Doesn't say it to him directly.
Not in the theater.
Yeah.
Not in the theater, Nick.
So anyway, you can continue the conversation at any of those things, or roast Christy mercilessly for really just butchering a Star Wars quote. This is like the hallowed halls of Star Wars, and you come in with "Help me, Obi, so you can only save us." I mean, maybe that was the holiday special. Maybe that was the Star Wars holiday special, but it certainly wasn't any Star Wars film I've seen.
Coming back out.
But we appreciate you taking a swing at it. But Christy Cuomo, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes.
Nice.
There you go. We're not going to hold it against you. Nick Leshy, City of Kick, Paranormal Popcast, greatest characters in pop culture history. He's got two mints in one with his podcasts. He gives you 2 for 1. You could go check out either one. He's very prolific and he's got a lot of stuff on there. And we've all been guests on it too. So
yes,
if you want to hear more of us, if you want to hear more of us individually, go check out Nick. I'm sure we're going to have a cross-platform collaboration I'm thinking we need to do, like a part 1 here and then a part 2 on your
that would be
platform or vice versa.
I thought of that myself.
Great.
Yeah. Yep.
It would be really fun to say, okay, that's going to end it for this portion, and now go
check out. Yeah.
Go check, or forget to say that as well. It's like, all right, we're gonna end it here.
Maybe we'll do Darth Vader. Maybe we'll do like one of us will do Anakin, and then the other will do Vader.
There you go. Light side, dark side. So we'll figure something out. But in the meantime, go check out his content. He's got a lot of great stuff there. He's got gaming correspondence. He's got young gamer reviews about board games. He does a lot of great content there. So check it out. And of course, we're going to continue to bring you the best of what we believe is the best in music and movie podcasting throughout 2026, each and every week on the dot. So for Christy, for Nick, for Eric, this has been Dean asking you, please be kind. Go ahead and rewind.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 podcast and on Twitter at 3324p to join the conversation.